Just moments ago, NBC releasing a clip from an interview it conducted this morning. President Trump is a guest on this Sunday's Meet the Press. In that interview, he discussed his dramatic decision, first to order airstrikes on Iran, but then 10 minutes before those strikes would take place, to decide to abort the mission.
They came and they said, "Sir, we're ready to go. We'd like a decision." I said, "I want to know something before you go. How many people will be killed? In this case, Iranians." I said, "How many people are going to be killed?" "Sir, I'd like to get back to you on that." Great people, these generals. They said, came back, said, "Sir, approximately 150. And I thought about it for a second. I said, you know what? They shot down an unmanned drone, plane, whatever you want to call it. And here we are sitting with 150 dead people that would have taken place probably within a half an hour after I said, go ahead. Yeah. And I didn't like it. I didn't think it was proportionate.
It's the first time we see the president. That tracks pretty much what he tweeted this morning. But to see him talking about it, his facial expressions, his language. Plus, there are still parts of this that don't quite add up in the sense that the president says he asked the generals how many people are likely to die here, and they said, we'll get back to you, and then came back to him. Maybe that is the way it worked out, but if it did work out that way, that would be incredibly unusual. Admiral Kirby on earlier saying that, no, he's been part of these strike briefs, they call them, and it's the first slide in the PowerPoint presentation. It's one of the very first things the briefer tells you. This is what we're going to hit. This is the expected casualty of it. So it's odd.
He's suggesting there that he ordered a strike without knowing what the consequences of that strike were going to be, which is kind of striking and probably runs counter to what the military typically does, as Admiral Kirby highlighted earlier in the program, that's the first thing that you tell them.
And you were talking about this earlier, that it could well be, and again, the president has every right to do this, it's uniquely his decision, that he was told, kind of mulled it over, was thinking about things, and then circled back to it.
Yeah, and you know, he did sort of indicate, he said, I thought about it for a while. How long was a while? I don't know, but it's possible that the president could take that same information that he was told, revisit it, and say, you know what, I don't think this is worth doing. We don't know, and I hope we get a little bit more on that from this interview, but that's really important. It also will beg the question, obviously, if you're told the first time it's 150 people, I mean, that should register. That's actually a fairly large number, I would think, if you're trying to sort of understand whether or not an unmanned drone attack is worth that. And so it would be curious as well, even if the president decided at a later date, you know what, actually, that's too many people for me. It would be interesting to know if he, at the first time he heard it, didn't think that number was particularly high and was willing to go forward with the attack.
And to remember, to go back to yesterday, some of the curious pieces here is the president sitting in the Oval Office yesterday said he thought this was essentially a loose cannon. He said somebody loose and stupid. Does he have intel? Does he discuss it? We'll find out if we see more of the interview. Does he discuss that? Do they really believe this was somebody in the Revolutionary Guard who went out over their skis, if you will, beyond their authority and did this, and the president doesn't want to escalate, he's trying to dial back. The other issue here is that that's the president's call. You heard him there explain it. It is his call and only his call, but you do start to hear the rumblings from the hawkish members of his own party saying there has to be some response. You cannot let Iran blow up tankers and shoot a drone from the sky without some slapback.
Yeah, I think the question now is there some other kind of response he views as more proportionate? And that's, I think, a thing we're going to sort of see unfold in the coming days. But certainly, he has long been very concerned about new military intervention, starting new wars. And I think part of what you're seeing here is him sort of coming back to that pretty core belief.
That's a great point. I think for all the issues on which he can sometimes change his mind and be somewhat inconsistent, because he's not an ideological Republican by any means, he is consistent on certain issues, U.S. footprint in the Middle East, especially trade issues, immigration issues.